All right, well, let's talk about the fourth step in the group sales system, enrollment of employees. We've put a lot of effort to get to this point where we're actually in front of employees and writing up membership applications. This is the payday in the sales system, so it's a very important step. This is the step that everyone wants to get to. I want to write some memberships. I want to get some commissions and get paid. And it's an exciting step because everything we've done up to this point leads us to the enrollment. That's been our main focus and our goal. We went out and got a lot of qualified leads in step one. Maybe 200-300 companies, identified companies in our market area that potentially would be a good candidate for offering this benefit to their employees. Then step two, we did a lot of prospecting. We actually went out and met with those companies, introduced ourselves, went out and did some mugging, talking to the decision makers and setting up decision maker meetings. Step three was the actual decision maker meeting where we got in front of the decision maker and showed them the value of our product to not only the company but the value that it would give their employees. And that led us to step four, enrollment of employees. Now, when we're talking about enrollment of employees, there's some key things that you want to be aware of. When I first started marketing employee benefits, it took me about 4.5 years, and I sold over 7,000 memberships during that period of time. And let me tell you, I learned a lot about employee enrollments very quickly. I learned one thing, that there were good enrollments and there were bad enrollments, and there wasn't a whole lot I could do to change that. You're going to have some good enrollments that go really well, and you're going to have some enrollments that don't go so well. Obviously, your goal is to get good enrollments, and we want to talk first of all here about some key things that you can do to understand the types of enrollments that will be available to you and what you might do to kind of change them or get better access to the employees. This is the group grading scale. This is found on page 27 of your group sales training manual. And just like in school, we're assigning the type of group or the type of enrollment that you have with an A through an F grade. If you look at the chart on an A group is a payroll deduction group with mandatory meetings. That's going to be the best type of group, or a fringe benefits where the company's paying the benefit for the employees. But a payroll deduction group is very popular. It's our most common type of enrollment. But then the key is the mandatory meetings. This is where you have access to the employees to actually make a presentation. And it's not a voluntary meeting, but it's a mandatory meeting. This would include like employee meetings or roll calls, safety meetings. This is really what makes up the best types of groups. For example, public safety, police departments, fire departments, sheriff's departments, corrections. Those are school boards. Those are all among the top enrollment groups that we have. Why? These are groups that have very popular meetings where their employees gather. Police department, for example, meets every day in a roll call. That's a great place. How often do they meet? Every day. So you can get a mandatory meeting in front of the employees every day. Construction, maybe once every 2 or 3 months for a safety type meeting. Trucking companies, maybe a monthly safety meeting. Schools, at least a monthly training, a staff meeting for all the staff. So those are the highest types of groups, highest type of enrollments in a group are A groups. B groups would be a bank draft. So it's not a payroll deduction group, but it's actually a bank draft group where we're going to deduct the membership from the employee's bank account or credit card or debit card. But it's not as good as a payroll, but it is a mandatory meeting. And so you have access to the employees. This would include volunteer fire departments, real estate offices, benefit fairs, things like that. Again, not as good as an A group, but still not a bad enrollment. And typically we average about a 30%, 40% enrollment. We've had higher than that, but on the average about a 30 to 40% enrollment on bank draft mandatory groups, B groups. The next type of group is a C group, and this is a payroll deduction with voluntary meetings. Now, anytime you start replacing the word mandatory with the word voluntary, you're going to have a lot less participation in the enrollment. So you're just going to get in front of less employees, and that's the key. You've got to get in front of a lot of employees, but a bank draft mandatory is better than a payroll voluntary. So again, getting access. So anytime, that's why we love doing the identity theft workshops or the lunch and learns, where we bring the lunch and we bring the learn, because we have good access. We did a survey recently, and most people eat lunch. So if you do a lunch and learn, you bring the food, people show up and participate. Mandatory meetings or food involved in the meetings are higher than just a voluntary meeting where you're stuck in a hallway or participating maybe in a benefits fair, where it's voluntary whether the employees come and see you or not. And the bottom line is just very few employees show up. So you have a lot less people to present the benefit to, and the end result is less employees sign up. So it's not as effective as an A or B group. The next type of group on the group grading scale is a D group. This is a payroll deduction in a room. Now, you got payroll deduction, but what you don't have is access to the employees. And that's a big problem. When you lose your access, when it's voluntary, where they say, hey, we'll put you in this room and those that are interested we'll send in there, you just won't see a lot of employees. Now, you want to make sure you're using the travel mugs and things like that. That might help stir employees to come in and see you. But if you're just stuck in a room, and very few people are going to come in there to hear about the benefit. So the reason your participation rate is going to be so low is you just didn't get in front of very many employees. This is where they send out an email or put flyers up and you sit in a room. And we always recommend, if you're stuck in this type of a situation, I mean, it's not as bad as an F group, but you don't expect a lot of enrollment. You're not going to get in front of a lot of employees. And we recommend, if they say, hey, we'll put you in a room and those that are interested come and see you, we recommend two things. Number one, that you set it up for a whole 8 hours, so you're there all day long. And number two, make sure you bring a few books. The reason you want to bring books is, again, you'll probably be sitting in the room most of the day by yourself, so at least you'll have something to read. And the reason we want you to set it up for a full 8 hours is so you'll learn not to do it again. Usually if you sit there for a full 8 hours one day, you'll say, okay, I'm not going to do any more sitting in a room and waiting for people to come and see me. The F group is a bank draft group where again, you're stuck in a room. Here you don't even have payroll access or a payroll deduction, so you don't have payroll and you don't have access. It's the worst of both situations. And again, typically agents don't even mess with bank drafts in a room. Some agents don't do payroll deduction in a room. They want access. And of course, the more skilled you become as an enroller, the more picky you can become with the types of groups that you have. But you need to understand that there is a grading scale. And of course, what you're looking for is A. You're looking for payroll deduction groups that have a mandatory type meeting where you can get good access to the employees. So now you're a little more familiar with the different types of enrollments that you'll be facing out there in the marketplace. And again, as you become a little more seasoned agent and after you've written a few hundred memberships, you can become a little picky with the types of enrollments, and you'll learn how to work with the employer to get better access to the employees. But I want to tell you this, when you're first starting out, don't be afraid of any type of enrollment. Anytime you have the opportunity to get out and talk to employees and present the benefit, even if it's a group of 20 and you're stuck in a room and only get to present to 1 or 2 people, it's 1 or 2 practice presentations with your group presentation. And that's what you need when you're first getting started. So again, don't shy away from a D group or C group just because it's not the ideal enrollment. I don't want you to get your expectations up where, hey, there's 20 people, I'm going to walk out there with 20 apps. You're not going to have that happen in a C group. But you are going to come out with some practice. Think about doctors and lawyers who, really work hard to earn $100,000 or $200,000 a year. They practice for 8 to 10 years and pay a lot of money to go to school. So again, you might pick up 1 or 2 memberships, gives you a little cash flow, maybe covers your gas money, but you're in that learning process during these initial enrollments. So again, don't shy away from any type of enrollment. But as you become a little more seasoned in the business, you'll be a little more picky in the type of enrollments you invest your time in. Now let's talk for a minute about the materials and supplies that you're going to need to effectively do enrollments. If you open up your group training manual right to the middle, this is where it opens up right in the middle of the manual to page 25. There's an enrollment checklist on page 25. It actually gives you a checklist of some of the materials that you're going to need. Many of these enrollment supplies that we're going to be discussing now are contained in the group starter kit. We highly recommend, once you've finished your individual membership presentations, you've got a little cash flow, that you order one of the group starter kits. We put everything in there to help you get started in your group business, including over 100 membership applications, 100 placemat brochures, the things that we're going to be talking about right now. The first thing that you're going to need is highlighted membership applications. Currently, Legal Shield does not provide any highlighted applications. We're working with them because they used to have a highlighted app, then they've taken it away, and now we're working with them to try and get that back. But in the meantime, you just simply get a payroll, it's called an employee benefit application. This would be for a payroll deduction group, and you would simply take a highlighter and highlight certain areas of the application. You only need to highlight the areas that the employee needs to fill out, and then of course you highlight the payroll deduction form on the back of the application. If it's a bank draft group, you would use a universal membership application, not the payroll one, and you would use 3 highlight colors. Yellow would highlight the top part of the member's information. You would use maybe a pink highlighter to highlight the bank draft area, which we only need the name of the bank, the routing number, and the account number. The name of the bank and the account number. That's the only 2 things we need in that bank draft area. And then maybe a green highlighter to highlight the credit card area, which all we need there is the credit card number and the expiration date. And of course on both those we need their signature, so you would highlight the signature line. Having prepared highlighted applications is critical because part of the close in an enrollment is fill out the yellow highlighted areas. And so to start the group and engage the group in writing on their membership apps, you want to have them highlighted, and it gives them a specific place to look on their application and start filling out. So again, you prepare some applications. We send you the applications. You get a highlighter and highlight them out. Hopefully most of the groups that you're going to be working are payroll deductions, so you just highlighted them in yellow. Now I recommend using a placemat brochure just like this. It's the most popular tool used in employee group enrollments. Right here at the top right-hand corner is a place where you can put your personal contact information. Some of our agents put a little Word file together with their contact information, then run these through a printer. That works well. It looks very good and professional printed on there. Second would be maybe a clear label. You can get a clear label and put it there, or maybe even a stamp. The stamps don't look as impressive as something printed on there. But you do want to take time to put your personal information. Never know during an enrollment where this might go home, fall in the hands of a friend or a neighbor or someone else that's interested in the benefit, and there's your contact information. So it's well worth putting it in there. Once you're doing large enrollments, 2,000 to 3,000 memberships a year, I would recommend then getting these printed with your personal information already on them, and we can help you get that done as well. The next item that you'll want to have a good supply of for enrollment of employees is your temporary membership kits. Now this is what a temporary membership kit looks like, and there's a couple components. The actual kit comes in an envelope, and then it has in there a couple will questionnaires. This is what you're going to leave with every employee that signs up for the benefit or tries the benefit out. It has their will questionnaires for them and their spouse. It also has a little slick in there, and it says welcome to Legal Shield, welcome to Identity Theft Shield. It has some information on both sides on those products, and particularly some key phone numbers and websites that they can use to get their monitoring set up, for example, with their identity theft product. It also has 2 window decals inside the temporary membership kit. So this kit has all of those things in it, and this again gives them something to take home, and it really helps make our presentation, the enrollment of our benefit, a tangible sell, because it's something you're actually going to give the employees and leave with them. And so I would highly recommend that you use the temporary membership kits. Right here on the front it talks about, it has a little checklist, activate your identity theft monitoring service at www.legalshield or shieldactivate.com, and it has a phone number they can use as well. It has another checkbox here, complete your last will and testament. The worksheets are enclosed. And then number 3, put your window decals on your vehicle. So it gives them a little checklist of things they can immediately do when they get home, starting to use their membership, which is going to help your retention rate. The next item that you're going to need to order for effective enrollments is what's called a group contact card. This is actually like a business card, but it's a little different than a business card, but it's a card that attaches to the front of the temporary membership kit. So the kit has a little box here. You would order these cards separate. You can order them directly from harvardbenefits.com. They're kind of in the business card area, but they're called group contact cards. Now, what a group contact card has on it is, number 1, the provider law firm. So you're working in a particular state, you would put your provider law firm's name on that card as well as their contact phone number. So in the enrollment, you're going to be able to say, I'm going to give you a temporary membership kit, and this is the phone number to the law firm. It gives them access to the law firm. So it's a little different than a business card because you wouldn't put your business card there because it doesn't have the law firm's phone number. And you really want the members calling the law firm, not you. You want them accessing the membership, calling the law firm, not calling your home. So, of course, you put the law firm's phone number first. The second contact is your contact information. And it just says group contact, your name, and then your phone number. So they have access to contact you. And most of our agents include their Harvard Benefits email address as well on there. So it has a phone number and an email address for you. Having your contact information on the card is helpful during the close of the enrollment because you're giving them information of how they can get in touch with you if they have any questions or again, for referrals, people that they might know that also want a membership, there's your information. They can contact you. The third part of the contact card is probably one of the most important parts, and it's where you put an online membership presentation. We've set up the website seeyourbenefits.com. That's a website that we make available to all of our agents, and you can have your own personal website set up. For example, seeyourbenefits.com/ and maybe your initials. Keep it real short on the extension. But you can, again, order that at harvardbenefits.com. They're about $5 a month for a membership, group membership exposure website. And when they go to seeyourbenefits.com, it gives them a 12-minute presentation on the benefit. So it reviews the entire legal and identity theft plan at the group rate. It talks about the $25.90 rate at the end of that. And then there's a form that pops up at the end. If they're interested in obtaining a membership, they can fill out the form, and it emails that form directly to you. The reason that many of our agents use a seeyourbenefits.com website on the bottom of their group contact cards is it's a very effective tool when employees are going home and they need to sell a spouse. Really for 2 reasons. One is that spouse sell. They get home, they say, hey, I got this benefit. They can both go to that website and see a very professional presentation on the benefit. Probably a more effective presentation than if the employee who heard it for the very first time today tries to explain what they purchased to the spouse. So that's a very, very valuable tool for that retention. Second of all, sometimes in an enrollment setting, you just don't have a long time to do an enrollment. Sometimes I've had 4 or 5 minutes that's the total time to do the entire presentation. And of course, you can't do the plan justice in 4 or 5 minutes. Well, you do the enrollment, you get the membership app, and then again, you say, here on the bottom of this card, I want you to go home and watch this full presentation. This gives you the full 12-minute presentation of your benefit because I want to make sure that you understand all that your benefit offers you. One other way to use your group membership presentation website is we can set up a particular site for your large group. So if you have a large group that has already over 100 members, we can actually set up a website specific for that group. For example, seeyourbenefits.com/IBM. This allows the employees of that group, you can use this on posters in break rooms, flyers, and it gives a website that any employee in that company can actually go to, get a presentation, and again, fill out a form. Let's take a minute now and talk about some enrollment tips. Now, many of these things are going to be covered by your field trainer. someone that's an expert in the market and has done some enrollments in the past, I would highly recommend that you team up with someone on your initial enrollments, because there's a lot to learn in this area. And you don't want to mess up your first enrollment. You want to have it be effective. You want to get the best results out of it. But here's a few key things. Number one, have your presentation memorized. If you haven't memorized it up to this point, now's the time. You got to pull it out and really memorize your presentation. It's got to be effective. It's got to be concise. The number one reason that people do ineffective enrollments is they have a poor presentation. The best way to memorize your presentation is find it in your group training manual and then record it by using a tape recorder. Just record yourself reading the presentation maybe 2 or 3 times, and then again listen to that tape, hearing it in your own voice over and over multiple times. It's kind of like a song on the radio. You might hear a new song on the radio and say, wow, I really like that song. And a week later, you're singing the song. Well, how'd that happen? Well, you heard it enough times, and it started to really come together, and now you're able to pretty much sing every word of it. And that's exactly what you got to do with your membership presentation. It's kind of like an airline stewardess. When they stand up and do the airline presentation on the safety, it's memorized. They don't just ad-lib it. I mean, it's step-by-step, very specific things that are covered. So it's part of the job. It's part of earning a 6-figure income. You got to memorize about a 7 or 8 minute presentation. If you talk real fast, it's going to take about 7 minutes. If you talk real slow, maybe 9 minutes. But somewhere right in there, you'll have a very effective presentation memorized. Also, you want to have your enrollment supplies prepared. You want to have your temporary membership kits, pins, everything that you need on your enrollment checklist. You want to have put together and ready to go. A lot of us use black roller bags, something like that, or a nice, make your materials look good and look professional in the way you package them. You don't want to walk in with a big cardboard box or maybe a clear tub that everyone can see everything in it. You want to, again, keep it very professional looking as you go into an enrollment. Let's talk for a minute about dressing right for the enrollment. What do you wear during the enrollment? Now, there's a lot of different situations, just like the different types of enrollments. There's a lot of types of dress that you could wear. For example, when I was working with police departments, sheriffs, and fire departments, all I ever wore was a black polo shirt and black slacks and some black dress shoes. That's all I ever wore. Never wore a tie, never wore a suit, because I wanted to try and get on that employee level, and I wanted to, look very, very standard and basic. Black was a good fit. When I started writing 70-80%, I knew I had hit it. I didn't want to appear like an insurance agent or someone that they had met with before selling some kind of insurance product. I wanted to appear a little different, and that's why I dress like that. If you're doing like a school board, I'd stay professionally dressed. Now, most of the time, women, just a professional outfit would work fine. But guys, you got to be careful about wearing a tie. There's sometimes you want to wear a tie, and there's other times you don't want to wear a tie. And again, just kind of use your field trainer. They'll give you some expert advice in this area, but dress a little bit above what the employees are wearing. So if you're going to go to a construction company, you probably want to dress down a little bit. You don't want to wear your best looking suit or outfit in there. You want to dress down a little bit, get on their level. Your goal is to connect with the employees. That's who you're writing. If you're doing an identity theft workshop, you might want to dress it up a little bit, because you're presenting yourself as an identity theft expert. And again, most experts dress pretty professionally. Your goal in an enrollment is to simply get on the employee's level. And you can accomplish some of that with the way you dress. You can accomplish another part of that by the way you talk and the way you conduct and present yourself in front of the group. We also recommend that when you're working larger groups that you get some assistance, that you have some helper with you, someone that's assisting you in the group enrollment. I would say anything over 20 or 30 employees, you want to have someone there to assist you in handing out packets and handing out travel mugs and those kind of things. During an enrollment, it's also important to know the specific deduction amount that the employee is going to have deducted either from their paycheck or their bank account. And on page 24 of the group training manual, there's a little chart, and it goes into the different plan types and then it shows the different deduction amounts, whether it's for monthly, weekly, semi-monthly, or bi-weekly. This is a very, very important chart to understand and study. If I was selling, for example, a $15.95 legal plan and I was doing a weekly payroll, the amount that I would always be saying to that employee group is $3.68. That's really the only amount I'll ever talk about. This benefit costs you $3.68 a week. It comes right out of your paycheck, $3.68 a week. If I was selling an identity theft, a $12.95 membership as a standalone on, say, a weekly payroll, I would only talk the amount of $2.99. This deduction is $2.99 a week. That's all it cost. And that's if you were set up on a weekly payroll. If they were paid biweekly, 26 pay periods a year, the amount I would be using is $5.98 for a $12.95 identity theft standalone. So understand you want to, before you go into your enrollment setting, know the deduction amount that you're going to be dealing with that employee group. Let's talk for just a minute about some of the most common mistakes that are made during enrollment of employees. And again, this is just to prepare you to hopefully avoid some of these in your own enrollments. Number one, don't tell the group that you'll be back. I know it's tempting, especially if you are going to be back. You might be talking to a group of employees today. You're going to be back tomorrow to do another group. You'd be tempted to say, I'll be back tomorrow. Don't say that. You've got to get those memberships written today. The minute you say, I'll be back, they're not going to decide today. You've given them a door for procrastination, and they'll say simply, I'll get with you tomorrow. Now, again, a lot of these you might have to just learn on your own. You might have to tell a group, hey, I'll be back tomorrow, and you'll get no membership apps, and that's a hard way to learn it. We're trying to help you avoid some of these to save you a little money, but most of these I've learned multiple times over and over again. Don't take questions in front of the group. Now, as you become more seasoned and experienced in enrollments, you can break this rule a little bit, but the goal here is to not have negativity affect the whole group, kind of the rotten apple scenario. You don't want a rotten apple in the whole box of apples. So, again, if you could control all good questions, or if everything that was made, every statement made by employees was a testimonial of how good the membership worked, you'd let everyone talk. But you want to maintain control of the group and avoid taking a question from a person that the whole group can hear, because it could be a negative question. It could be a negative statement that affects others from purchasing the plan. Again, the more experienced you are, the better you can control that. You can also get good at cutting something off and going and addressing it personally. It's never out of question just to say, no problem, I want to handle every question, and if you'll just hold on to that question, I'll come and talk to you right after I'm done presenting the benefit. And that way we don't hold everyone up. That's a good way to kind of maintain control of the enrollment. Never promote the word cancel any time. It's a great feature. It takes a lot of pressure off, but I remember my first group enrollment. It probably cost me a lot of memberships because I kept talking about that they can cancel at any time. Imagine if you went out today and bought a new car, and as you're going out of the parking lot and starting to get in your car, they say, hey, now remember, you can bring this car back anytime. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What's wrong with it? If they're suggesting that I bring it back any time, there must be something wrong with it. What if he said it twice? What if he says, hey, and don't forget, you can bring this back anytime? Well, it makes people more nervous when you start saying that. So what you want to do is not promote that feature, especially during an enrollment. If it's specifically asked, am I signing up for a period of time? Say, oh, no, we don't have any specific period of time for our memberships, but you want to avoid using the word you can cancel anytime. Don't use that feature. That's really going to help you in your retention rate. Stay within your time frame. If you've asked for 15 minutes to do an enrollment, stay within 15 minutes. You have to really work on your presentation to make sure that it's effective and concise. When doing identity theft workshops, stay focused on your goal to write memberships. Now, of course, you're there to provide some education. You're there to provide some tips on how to protect people from identity theft. But remember, none of the tips and education pay your bills. The way you're paid and compensated is selling a membership. So in the whole scheme of things, when you're doing the identity theft workshop, stay focused on an effective close and getting memberships from people and getting people enrolled in the legal and identity theft plans. One of the most important aspects of success in enrolling of employees is to enjoy what you're doing. Remember that people buy you, so you've got to go out there and smile. We want you to add your personality to this presentation. We want you to add your belief level to the presentation. All of us are at different belief levels on the product and the service that we offer. Understand we have a great value in our service. This is something that people are looking for. This is something that people need and are striving for in their lives. They want access to the legal system. They want protection from identity theft. And you have those products. So be excited about that. Go have some fun doing your first enrollments, and we wish you a lot of success.